Hi, everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Lights, Camera, Rant. And for this particular episode, I have the man, the myth, the legend from the Star Wars podcast. Welcome back, Michael, after 26 weeks.
Listen, it has been far too long. I'm super excited to do it with you. I'm excited to chat about news, Mando, and have a cold one with you, man. I've missed talking to you like this, so it should be fun.
Cheers, man. God, it's been way too long. And as we were just talking about just beforehand, Tommy from Two Sides of the Story, he's most determined to always beat you in a long episode. And he's like, when are you getting Michael back? When are you getting Michael back? And I was like, well, we're gonna organize something. I'll let you know.
So here's the thing. I'm hard on Tom, right? I make fun of his stupid theories and I give him a hard time. Today I'm going to do something nice for Tom, and I'm going to call a truce. I'm not going to come for his title. If it happens, it happens. But I'm not overextending myself, and I hope this can be a peace offering between Tom and I.
Well, we'll find out. We'll definitely find out. So we're going to dive into some news, and then we're going to talk about the season premiere, season 3 of Mandalorian. After 2 years, I was checking the date. December 2020 was when the last episode of The Mandalorian premiered, which was that was mind-blowing when we all saw that right before Christmas.
Yeah. So, and when did you start your podcast? 2 years ago? Probably around that time?
Yeah, about June 2021.
Okay. So we started in January after The Mandalorian. So we cover Marvel and Star Wars shows. But having done that, we've never talked about The Mandalorian, which is like my personal favorite Star Wars or Marvel show. So it's a beautiful time to be a Star Wars fan.
Before Mandalorian, not really because of the sequel trilogy, but now I was just saying a couple of weeks ago, I thought to myself, we've got so much content since we got that first season of Mandalorian. Not just besides that, but we'll get into more. Obviously, Obi-Wan and Visions. I totally forgot. Visions season 2 is right around the corner. I think May the 4th.
We need a trailer for that. Come on, give us something. I'm ready.
Yeah, same. And for anyone who doesn't know, there is an English and a subtitle version. Don't be like me who didn't realize there was until the end. So you watch the entire thing in subtitles and not realizing that after you listen to an episode of Michael that there's actually an option to listen to it.
There was a movie. What was it? What was that war movie that came out last year? All Quiet on the Western Front. So I watched that on Netflix, and I was watching it. Everyone was speaking English, and it seemed okay for a while. But then I started to realize the voices weren't matching up, and I was like, are my speakers messed up? Like, what's going on here? And then I found out that that wasn't the original language, and I just thought the movie was like had some horrible sound mixing or something.
Really?
But it's weird that it would default to something that's not the language it shot in. Like, I understand if you want to go watch the dubbed, but if you turn that thing on and it immediately gives you a different language, I don't know. It's kind of maybe I wanted the subtitles.
Yeah, exactly right. Usually we go, this is what it is right now and change it, not wait until halfway through and you're like, wait a minute, this is not.
Yeah, this is not right. Yeah,
something's not right. But no, so in the last actually, before we do anything, I have to do the very first thing that we always start on.
Welcome to the Lights, Camera, Rant podcast. Your source for the latest on movies, TV shows, and video games. Get ready for ranting, raving, and reviewing. Here is your host, Lee.
See how much clearer that comes through compared to Riverside.
Yeah. Hey, who did that for you? How did you get that done? That's a really cool intro you have.
No, thank you, man. No, this was so my original intro was from a church priest over in America because I went on the website Fiverr or Fever, however you want to say it. So he gave me the audio version, and then I found a separate guy who makes YouTube intros, and I just said to him, "Can you please make an intro to the music?" And that was actually his first draft.
It's badass. I love it. And typically I listen like more. I try to watch the stream when I can, but like usually I'm listening to the audio version later. So I always hear the voice, and I love the voice, and I don't often see the actual intro. So I don't know. It's very well done. I'm loving just already tooting your horn here at the top. Loving the production quality.
Oh, thank you, man. I was when he first sent me the first draft, and I looked, I was like, "Shit, sold. I'll take it. No edits. Just give it to me." But yeah, it was a priest who does trailer music voices on the side, and that's what he makes. And again, the intro he was like, "What do you want to talk? Like, how do you want it to sound?" I was like, this, and this is all I can think of." And then that was the first one, and I've never wanted to change it since. I was like, someone said to me the other day, "It's like, oh, do you want to update it?" I'm like, nah.
It's good.
It sounds so good when you listen to it in the AirPods.
Yeah. It's good stuff.
But correct me if I'm wrong. Did you see Cocaine Bear?
You better believe it. And I loved it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Tell me about it. Like, I haven't watched it yet. I still can't believe it's been directed by Elizabeth Banks.
Right. It is so much fun. Okay. Like, the way I've been describing it is, I like when I go see a Star Wars movie and something really big happens on screen, or in game, when Cap gets the hammer, I'm standing up in my seat like cheering, right? Like it's like a sporting event. And there are moments in Cocaine Bear where I was like, I wanted to shout and scream. It's so fun. I thought it would be funnier than it actually is, but it still works a lot. It's like it's more lighthearted than it is funny. But it's also very action packed. It's got some killer scenes, and everyone's got to watch Cocaine Bear. I think it's awesome. It's my favorite movie of the year. I'll say that so far.
Oh, so far.
Yes.
Oh, that's awesome, man. Like all the feedback I've been seeing about it has been fantastic. Everyone's been loving it. I haven't had one negative comment, and not to mention, they've already want to talk about was it meth alligator or adrenaline alligator or crystal meth puppies.
Yeah. So I have seen a couple people clown on it, and they're kind of picking apart some things and trying to find plot holes. But here's the thing. This is not that movie. This is like going to a circus, right? Like it's not going to win an Oscar. It's just a good, fun time. Don't overthink it too much. I think I have that issue a lot in movies, but for whatever reason, I was able to just turn off my brain. There's weird stuff in there, right? Like there's a lot of like, can a bear actually eat as much cocaine as that bear did and like act like? I don't think it's like scientifically possible, but who cares? Who cares?
It doesn't matter. Like the title's enough for what you're getting into. Like if you're happy with just the title, then you're in for one wild ride. But I was just so surprised when all the positive feedback about it. It was terrible. I was talking to work. I was talking to someone, and I was like, "Oh no, are you going to go see Cocaine Bear?" And about two other people was like, "I'm sorry, what?" I was like, "Oh, that movie called Cocaine Bear," and it was in the room full like 6 people, and it just went to everybody else. And they're like, "What movie are you watching, Lee?" I'm like, "Oh no. Like have you watched Cocaine Bear? Like, is that kind of like a spoof?" I'm like, no, that's legit. 100%. It's in the theaters right now. I can show you a poster. And like, no, and it's based on a true story. Yes, Cocaine Bear is based on a true story.
Yes, I think it's very loose. Like, again, I think the bear ate a lot of cocaine and died immediately. I think that's the real story.
Have to.
Yeah. But so yeah, there's definitely a lot of like stretches and based on a true story. But I told somebody I was seeing Cocaine Bear. They're like, what is that about? I'm like, what do you think? It's exactly what it's like. It's Cocaine Bear, period.
Yeah. That's enough said. But yeah, apparently they're really discussing about sequels. They're about what can come next. And there you go. There will be another multi franchise right there. What animal can you put on what drugs?
There's gonna be like a crossover Avengers type where all the drugged up animals come together, like Stoner Hawk and.
I can already see that on TikTok. I can already see all the animals assembling, and they're just all drug fueled. Like, don't forget that there is Cocaine Man. I think in DC Comics there was a Cocaine Man.
Oh, really?
Yeah, very short comic for obvious reasons, but yes, apparently he got all of his powers from cocaine, so he could fly.
Here's the problem. Here's the problem, because I write a little bit. I've written some comic books actually, and I have done some. I've done some brainstorming about okay, I want to write about a superhero, but I have to come up with something truly original, right? The problem is every single superhero has been done. There's Cocaine Man, there's Toilet Monster,
Plastic Man.
It's a Polka Dot Man. It's all there's nothing original in superheroes anymore, unfortunately.
Well, what's the other one? The Condiment King. He's a legit one.
Yeah, exactly.
But the thing is the fact that you're trying and you're gonna make that man, that's still awesome. Whatever you make, I will read it.
I appreciate that.
If you got something right now, I will also read it. If you can't already tell by my shirt.
I'll send you some links. They're all short. They're all like no more than 6 pages, but it's fun little stuff. It's a hobby, it's nothing major, but it's fun to do.
Yeah, no, of course. I was waiting for you to be like, it's only short, send the link, 150 pages.
Nah. I've got multiple that are 1 page even, so.
Yeah. No, send it across, man. I'll definitely check them out. But hey, at least you're doing something, and it doesn't matter how much you make, you're still putting it out there.
Exactly. And actually, one of my it's similar to Cocaine Bear, and I would actually like to see this. One of my comics is called Graffiti Panda. He's a panda that does graffiti. So I would like to see Cocaine Bear and Graffiti Panda meet up somehow. I'm going to pitch that to Elizabeth Banks.
I was gonna do it. Hey, what else is she going to make right now? The last thing she made was a god-awful Charlie's Angels reboot, which bombed terribly, and then she blamed on men, saying men don't want to see women in a strong role. Wonder Woman. Or Alien, anything like that. But I swear I saw it. She directed. I was like, okay, random. You just look, I'm done with making a movie about women. I want to make a movie about animals and drugs.
Yeah, exactly.
Moving on. Now, big thing this year that you obviously, of all people, will know the fact that we're going to get Secret Invasion this year. We're meant to get Loki season 2, but a rumor I did see that apparently Anna for Echo is apparently going to come in October.
Interesting.
Anything you say, obviously grain of salt, but apparently she said that she thinks it'll be this year in October, because those are the only 2 shows that we fully know that are coming, isn't it?
Right. Even that, it's kind of all up in the air, because they would, they kind of made a vague comment about pushing things back, but they didn't really confirm. I think people were guessing. I didn't see anywhere that they said definitely Loki, and I didn't see where they completely lined out exactly how many shows we were getting. I think everyone just knows what the next 2 are, and assuming it's just going to be those.
Well, that's right. I remember seeing a rumor further back that we were meant to get What If season 2 at the start of this year. And obviously that's gone. But you're right. There's no official timeline. I'm pretty sure the trailer. There actually hasn't been an official trailer for Loki, but Secret Invasion, I'm pretty sure it just says 2023.
Right. And I hate that because on my podcast, I like to schedule things out. If I could schedule the year, I would schedule the year. But,
same.
It's not that easy, unfortunately.
No. And even with Star Wars, we know that Visions is coming on May the 4th, but we haven't got a trailer for that. But we don't know what's later this year. Even the Ahsoka TV show doesn't have.
I think they did
release
say
date.
2023, but they also keep making comments where they kind of like backtrack on stuff. And it's like, can you guys get your stuff together? Because this is kind of driving me crazy. I just want to know what's coming down the pike.
I know. Like, we didn't even get a date for Mandalorian season 3 until I think December or November.
Yeah.
We only got a date. It was like, oh, it's coming March 1st.
Yeah.
Because I think Book of Boba Fett was in Feb. That's starting in Feb, didn't it?
That sounds no, because I think it actually was before. I think it was in December because I remember it ended in. I know it ended in January.
Oh, that's right. Yep. Yeah. Because it started, right in December, which only really got good after the 4th episode, which I think is when Mando rocked up.
Oh, interesting how that works. Funny how that character shows up and it just gets better.
I know. Straight on IMDb, I'm pretty sure the graph is like that of viewership.
Yeah.
But yeah, would you like to see? Are you like to see Echo this year? I'm very curious for Echo because of Kingpin and Daredevil.
Yeah, I would love to see Echo this year. I feel like I might be one of the more excited people for Echo. I really loved that character in Hawkeye. I think she has a lot of potential. And obviously, like you said, she's got this connective tissue with like the Daredevil universe, which is really interesting. I think there's like I think it has like it has the right things to make this a really good show. So I'm very, the next 3 that we got coming, and I always bite myself on the ass when I say stuff like this, but Secret Invasion, Loki season 2, Echo, high hopes for all of them. I just can't see how they go wrong. Like, you really have to mess it up. Like, it's laid out for you. Just keep it simple. Give us something good. Don't make it boring. Don't make any weird choices. We're gonna like it.
That's enough said, man. That's exactly right. And I remember when they first announced Echo, and this was before Hawkeye got released. I remember thinking, "What the fuck? What is Echo? How does that fit into anything?" And now I'm like, I need to see this. I need to see this, especially after She-Hulk on with Daredevil and then Kingpin. But I'd be happy. If there was only 3 shows that we got this year, I'll be fine with that, because I think the X-Men reboot's not meant to be until 2024, and the Spider-Man year 1, which that already sounds like that's kind of a mess. That's another conversation for another day. But and that's not until 2024 as well.
Right. But yeah, I mean, again, like I remember also like, they announced Echo before we even knew who the character was. And like, I would like look up like, okay, well, who the heck is Echo? And like, I haven't read any of the comics. I would like to, but she is like very striking, right? She's got war paint. She's got feathers, right? She's got like the Native American like heritage on her back. And like, it seems like a really cool character. And I feel like there's a lot of cool stuff they can do with it. So I feel like it's just the beginning. Yeah. And if anybody was sour on that character, I think just wait. I think she's going to be
just wait. I felt terrible because when she appeared in Hawkeye and you saw when she was boxing and you saw her leg, I thought, wow, that's really good CGI. I'm like, that's really good. And then I looked her up and I was like, oh, that's no. I was terribly wrong.
Well, she had no acting credits before this. They put out a casting call. They wanted somebody who's deaf and of Native American heritage, and she just did it because she fit the part, not because she was an actress. And she killed it. And that's the other thing. It's like when you get somebody like that can really hold their own up against, Oscar-nominated people like Jeremy Renner, right? Like you have to respect it. And there's gonna be cool stuff to come.
Oh, 110%. And you're right. She fully nailed it. Even the very first scene that we saw in Hawkeye, just that when she walked in the room and all the speakers around, you knew nothing. And then boom, now you're like, I want to see your show straight away. Did you also happen to see that apparently there's a possibility that both Namor and Hulk, Disney can get the rights back to Disney Plus. Apparently, the rumor is I think Chromecast. Apparently, there's some deal that they want Hulu, and they're like the offer is if Disney wants to sell Hulu, they'll give Namor, or they'll trade Namor and Hulk rights back and do a swap of some sort. But apparently it's on the table that the rights could be going back to Disney Plus if they sell this.
Man, this is like exchanging prisoners of war, right? Like
It really is.
They're like holding them hostage for leverage. It's very interesting.
Well, Namor and Hulk would be the last two that Disney Plus needs, or Disney needs.
Yeah. And I feel like there's so much story to tell with both of those characters. Like, I feel like we could totally use a Namor and Hulk movie or TV. Like, you could make it happen. You could do the Planet Hulk movie, or you could do, Namor, maybe some X-Men stuff. There's a lot of stuff you can do. So that would be cool to have like complete control.
It would be great. And I know everyone I've spoken to has said to me is like they can't wait to see Namor back. Like they can't wait to see when he'll be back on screen. And like don't get me wrong, like I think regardless of what you thought of Ant-Man, the last two Marvel movies we've got outstanding villains. Actually technically the last three movies, if you include Thor Ragnarok, the last three villains have been outstanding, but the last two are actually still alive. You will still see them again, unlike every other Marvel movie where they only last, except for Loki.
That's a really good point. And I don't think it's I think it's kind of exclusive to the movies. I think the TV shows kind of suffer with the villains a little bit. But I mean, I feel like some of my favorite, basically this day and age, my favorite part of every Marvel movie is the villain. Like you laid out, I liked Gore a lot. I liked Scarlet Witch, all of the Spider-Man villain. Like I feel like it's always like my favorite thing about Marvel movies these days. So we love to see it.
I know, 100%, man. I just feel like even what everyone says about Thor, Christian Bale nailed Gore. Probably the only thing is I just wish he was just that little bit brutal in the movie. Just like you just saw him a bit more of a butcher. But besides that, nailed it, especially at the end. And then Namor, like, how can you, like, even for a guy that's a fish man on wings, on his feet, flying around, you still see him as a giant threat.
Right. He carries himself well. For sure.
Yeah. And you can never go wrong with the Green Goblin in Spider-Man.
Oh my gosh. Or William Dafoe in anything really, but so good.
Nah, it's like I'm gonna F up one Spider-Man, I'm gonna F up three Spider-Man in a different movie because I can. And the next movie we're getting is Guardians of the Galaxy, and that's just gonna be so gut-wrenching.
You know what? I don't know. So I watch trailer. I don't like obsess with the trailers. Usually I'll like watch the first two. I'm not gonna like sit there and rewatch them, look for Easter eggs, and like I try to be a little safe with some of that stuff. But now that I think about it, I don't know what the villain of Guardians of the Galaxy 3 is. I think it's out there, but I don't know what it is.
It's the bloke's called High Evolutionary.
Okay.
And essentially very vague, but what he does is he tries to advance animals or planets. So like he'll take an animal, and if the animal can't talk or anything, like Rocket, he gave him he alters them to make sure they're the highest evolution that they can possibly be. So
that's kind of cool.
That's right. I love the fact he's the guy from Peacemaker.
Which guy?
Yeah, the guy that turned out that he was also an alien. He was the team leader at the very start who was organizing everything. He was the African American who was organizing the team. And then you found out he was also a bug.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah.
Well,
cool. That's awesome.
That's what he's playing. Like he appeared at Comic-Con in full costume last year.
How did I must have missed this, or maybe I just I went to bed and forgot about it.
He was a giant guy in purple. He was like wearing a purple like skirt or dress kind of thing. Well, anyway, that's where he's going to be. And as I said, Guardians of the Galaxy is going to be just. I feel like that's going to really, like like Indiana Jones 2, where they rip out the heart and show it to you.
Yes.
That's Guardians of the Galaxy in one clip.
Oh no.
But yeah, and also another thing that we were talking about earlier that just recently is going to rumors that Pedro Pascal wasn't originally, or possibly wasn't going to be the original first pick for The Last of Us.
Yeah, Mahershala Ali. That's wild.
Yeah, was as a possible candidate.
Here's the thing. I just could not see that man walking around in like rugged jeans and a flannel, right? Like, I don't know. I feel like Mahershala Ali, he's more prim and proper than that.
Yeah. Well,
Exactly.
even when you think about Blade, like, Blade's got the trench coat. It's still very,
put together.
very 2000s villain movie. But anyway, I was like, that'd be a completely different show. Like, as you said, like, that'd be so weird if it was him. But I'm glad we got Pedro Pascal. He's killing it. The last episode was fantastic, and again, kind of sad. But it's amazing how even the most simplest things are getting excited about an escalator.
Yep. So, nope. Pedro Pascal's the man. Like, I think he's probably like one of the most wholesome people in Hollywood. Like, you see interviews and like he just.
You mean Daddy?
Daddy, exactly. Just such a good guy, and he that's the thing. Like, I think we've seen in the past when it comes to like big franchise stuff, whether it be Star Wars or Marvel, we've seen people crumble under the weight of the fan base a little bit. The first thing that comes to mind is Cara Dune from the Mandalorian, whatever her name was. You kind of there's like it's not easy for these people to like be in the spotlight that much, and the way he's like fully embraced it. And I feel like there's ways that he could have like gone the opposite direction, where like he's on the red carpet and they're like asking like very inappropriate questions, and like and they call you daddy. I feel like there's like somebody else might not have handled it as well as he did, but he just takes everything on the chin, man, and just rolls with it, and just such a bright spot and a good role model for like everybody, not just like people in Hollywood, but everybody.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. And when he's on the red carpet, he just looks like he's just as much as a fan as everybody else. That, oh my god, I'm here! Like, oh my god, it's The Mandalorian, or it's The Last of Us. Like, how cool is it to be here? Like, how any of us would react if we were in that situation.
Yeah.
But no, and his stock could not be any more higher. Which he did mention that there is a possibility that The Last of Us season 2 we start shooting at the end of this year as well. So, which would be a really nice quick turnaround time compared to some other shows that you're like, oh, we're not getting until 2025.
Right.
Oh.
I find that interesting. I felt like I kind of felt like they might need a long break in between the two seasons. I don't know if you played the games, but there is a bit of a time jump in between, and I wouldn't mind letting them grow up a little bit more before we get a season 2.
Well, if they start shooting at the end of the season, end of this year, it probably won't. Mid next year,
Yeah.
you'd say mid to late next year, you would see the premiere of it. But
yeah,
that's roughly about then. But what I'm still gobsmacked about this show is that it's completely broken that video game curse. Everything that's gone into that show, all the money, the writers are back. Even the show adaptation is still breaking numbers and breaking records, just like the game did. So It's still doing so well. Even people who have not played the game, Last of Us. Oh,
yeah,
straight away.
Yeah, and that's like my friends that don't play video games, this has been like my opportunity to introduce them to one of my favorite video games, right? Like, I loved The Last of Us, and like, there are people, even my mom likes watching a lot of different TV.
Oh,
she doesn't play video games, but she's watching Last of Us, and it's like, it's cool to like bring a bunch of different people into this world that, a lot of us have been loving for a long time.
Yeah. Do you think them releasing this was a really good time that The Walking Dead had ended, so there isn't both of them going back to back. Like, they're not the same show, but you know what I mean. Like,
Yeah, it's interesting. I honestly, at the end of The Walking Dead, I don't think it was a big threat. I think maybe if it came out 4 or 5 years ago, when like Walking Dead was at its height, right, when like Negan first came in, and like there's that big cliffhanger, and everybody was watching, and everybody was caring. I think it would have been a bad time then, but Walking Dead kind of fell off. I don't know that they would have been a threat to The Last of Us.
No, probably not the last 4 years, but I remember that. I remember the internet blowing about who did Negan kill. I remember it was all over Facebook, YouTube, Twitter. It all went nuts. And then, Walking Dead kind of just died in the ass in the last few seasons.
You look at the the ratings on that one. I think it's the opposite slope, right? I think especially from that point of that big cliffhanger. I don't think people liked how it went, and then everything after that was it just stumbled.
Massive decline. Yet hey, they're still making that. I think they're making a movie with.
I don't know what's going on there.
I mean, good luck to. I think you're done. And even the other TV show they're making, I don't know if that's doing too well. Was it Before the Walking Dead or
Fear the Walking Dead?
Fear the Walking Dead.
That's not even the only show they had. There's another one called World Beyond. There's like too much Walking Dead stuff. Walking Dead actually isn't even over. I think that's what's the wild part.
Shit. All right. Wow, that's pretty bad. And another thing, I do remember you're really excited for a video game. Speaking of video games, Sons of the Forest.
Yes, I've actually played a little bit of it already, about an hour's worth. Yeah. So,
and what have you thought so far? I saw just this morning, IGN gave it an 8.
Yeah. So I played the first one, and here's the thing: I didn't finish it because it caused me a lot of stress. Like there would be points in the game where like I have to go get this mission item, and it's in this cave, but there are also, I don't want to spoil anything, but caves are dangerous and very scary. I'll just put it that way. And I kind of get to the point where I was like, I don't want to do this. It's almost too scary. So I'll be honest, I wasn't. If this game wasn't multiplayer, because I'm actually playing this with my good buddy Luke. We loaded it up together. We started the game together, and it was a little. He and I there was a moment in the game when something really scary happens, and like we were genuinely screaming. But it was nice to like have somebody there, like you're not just playing alone by yourself in the dark. But it's very similar to the last one. The graphics are incredible. As far as story and stuff, though, I'm not deep in enough, but I'm very excited to see more of it. And again, the multiplayer aspect is really fun.
Oh, that's awesome to hear, man. I saw before IGN posted, I think I saw them tweet saying their wish list on Steam was so incredibly high for how many people pre-downloaded this game ready for its release. And just like yourself, all the feedback's been fantastic. When I watched the trailer, I'm very curious about the base building side of things. That you can make, and you have the helper. I forgot the helper's name.
Calvin.
Yeah, that's it. You couldn't think of a more white, annoying male name than Calvin.
Dude, it's so funny because he's like, I guess it happens right in the beginning of the game, so it's barely a spoiler. But the thing is, that guy. You crash on this island, he loses his hearing, right? And you have to communicate with him on a notepad. And he is such an idiot because he doesn't talk and he can't hear you. And like he just does exactly what you tell him to do. It's actually quite funny.
I did see on someone's TikTok, they're like, hand him the note, and then next thing he turns around to the fort and breaks it.
Yeah.
And the person who's playing the game is going nuts, going, what the fuck? But yeah, you have to let me know when you finish that game what you think of it entirely. But I've had when you're talking about the cave, I kind of had like the same thing with playing Hogwarts Legacy. Anytime there's the thing to do with spiders, I'm like, why spiders? Why can't it be like Dementors? Anything else? Snakes?
Yeah, so you're like Indiana Jones. His fear is snakes, but you're with spiders. Yeah.
Pretty much, yeah. So I pick a game where spies are a really big thing, especially when you go into the dark forest. I'm like,
Hey, you guys have big spiders over there in Australia, don't you?
we do, we do, and we have nearly there's a spider under every single rock, but they're only about locally they're only about this big.
I think I would be scared of spiders, like way more scared of spiders too, if I lived there.
Yeah.
Here, they're not too bad. They're they're mostly harmless, and they're small.
Well, I'd rather go. I should move over there because pretty much a lot of things here can kill you. Like as I said to you the other day about that post that was USA president's remains will be shot into space. Yes, by the way, if anyone's listening and watching, that is a legit news article.
Yeah.
USA presidents will be shot into space as a point of trying to connect with alien life. And I said to Mike, I was like, well, if it was Australia, we probably would send out all our deadliest animals. Be like, yeah, come to Australia. Come on.
Yeah.
We're going to make contact. If this doesn't kill you.
They're going to be like, wow, this planet is like full of like warriors.
Yeah, I know. And until they rock up and see everybody. Especially
exactly.
if have you ever played Dead by Daylight?
I have not. I've seen a lot of videos on it, though. I'm very aware of the game, but I have not been hands-on myself.
Because that's getting a movie now.
Is it really?
Yeah, Plum House that make pretty much all the horror movies, which they just recently was the one with the Chucky doll as a little girl.
Megan.
Yeah, they recently made that. They've just announced that they will be making a Dead by Daylight horror movie because they want to turn that into a survival horror video game franchise.
Hey, I'm here for it. Especially, after like we've already talked about, The Last of Us is paving the way and showing people how to do a video game adaptation. Now's the time. Bring them on. Let's do it.
Yeah. Anything. I feel like that's where I think more people are going into video games now as an adaptation. Because don't get me wrong, like we'll still watch all the Marvel, we'll still watch all the Star Wars, but there's so much of that's been dipped into that I don't think enough people have dipped into video games. Because we're getting, we've got The Last of Us. We have a Gran Turismo movie coming out later this year. There's a Twisted Metal TV show coming out next year. That's PlayStation, and then there's an event. Horizon Zero Dawn show coming out in 2 years. There's a God of War TV show coming on Amazon. So it seems like everyone's
Fallout.
That's right. Fallout for Amazon. I feel like now people are really dipping into video games. And Dead by Daylight, I would love to see what they'll try and do that video game concept instead of just being a normal slasher.
Right. It'll be, I feel like is there any fun way for them to play into the actual video game aspect of it all? My first thought is this is gonna kind of weird, and they're probably not doing it. But Netflix does a lot of really cool stuff with interactive stuff. I feel like Dead by Daylight would be the perfect kind of choose your own adventure or interactive TV show on Netflix. I think that would be really interesting.
Take my money. That would be good. What was that show that Netflix just released and
Kaleidoscope?
You can watch? Yeah, is that the one you can watch in any order and it still makes sense when you watch the last episode?
Yeah. I watched that. I didn't really like it.
Nah,
honestly, but it was bugging me out the whole time. Like I was just getting confused, like how any of this makes sense. It's just the concept. The concept is too distracting. I'll put it that way.
Oh, okay. So, not
for me,
entirely, maybe not a totally good method, but yeah, I did hear about that show. I'm like, just that's a good way to confuse people. Watch any show, watch any start of the episode, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
I would also like to say, in this episode, a big thank you to you, Michael, for the wonderful shirt you are wearing.
Yes, and you know what? The wife has a couple Star Wars shirts, but she saw this and she was like, why don't you have shirts like that? Because even you've got back designs, right? And it even tells you where to find the podcast and everything. And she's like, you need to do your shirts like that.
Oh,
yeah.
Why don't you do that?
Yeah.
No,
So.
when I got your shirt, which I'm currently wearing, my partner was like, "That's really cool. Like, you should really get the black and white long sleeve version." Again, it was the same thing. Like, why don't you do a shirt like that? I'm like, all right, give me a
some
couple of
time.
weeks. I'll do it.
Right.
But nah, all the material's fantastic on your shirt. So you should definitely go buy some Star Wars merch, which I still need to buy your new one too with your full logo.
Yeah. I actually, I've got one coming in the mail. We also, here's something funny. We had our big Jar Jar Binks episode a while back, and we've been trying to figure out how to do the merch correctly, right, without being too copyrighty about it. And I ended up commissioning my friend who made an original piece of Jar Jar, and it was really cool. It had like the 70s funky groovy feel to it. I put it up on Bonfire, and they immediately took it down. They said, "You cannot have Star Wars content." And, technically, I think in a court of law, that shirt is not copyright because it is an original image that he created. But they took it down anyways, and really upset.
Just do a bootleg. Be like, come around the corner. I'll open my trench coat. Give you some money. And I'll give you a shirt.
Yeah, exactly.
That sucks. Well, are you trying to look for a different design, change it around? Because your Jar Jar Binks episode, which you have heard me last time talking to Tom from Two Sides, you making that episode after I listened to the whole thing, that really made me think. I'll be honest, really made me think of going, you're doing this type of stuff. Like, I need to rethink on what I can do on a podcast, because how you structured that was fantastic.
I appreciate it. Yeah, it was kind of like a passion project. Here's the thing. I would love to have a podcast that's like just like that. It is so much work though. Like, we really exhausted ourselves putting it together. So I would like to do a sequel of some sort at some point, but we're sticking with the recaps for now.
Yeah, well, sequel might be a little bit longer this time to make another one like that. But the thing is, as much as time you would have put into it, I can only imagine how many hours you put into that. It was I have no doubt your numbers would be fantastic for it, and it's well worth it. And whatever you do make next, I'll be right there to listen to it.
Appreciate it, Lee, and same to you as well. Anything Lights Camera Rant, I will be. It's gonna go to the top of my podcast feed. So
yeah, thanks, man. I don't know if I could make anything like that. I would nothing on that degree. I'll just follow in your shadow.
No, you do great content over here. So you've got your own niche, and you're really good at what you do. So
thanks, man. I appreciate it. But let's talk about why we're both here after 2 long years, which you can count the Book of Boba Fett. But after 2 long years, we have season 3 of The Mandalorian chapter 17, because I don't do episodes, has finally dropped this week, which I think it feels like it's been so long. Like, even though we got the Book of Fett, it feels so long since we've had a pure Mandalorian episode. And one of the biggest things is you found out the other day that it's been 2 years.
Yeah.
Grogu was with Luke for 2 years.
Yeah. Wild.
And I have to say, which please, for everyone who's listening, go check out Star Wars latest episode where they do a full recap on this episode. What was your initial reaction to when you first saw this episode? When were you like, yes, can't wait, or you were a little bit nervous to know where's everything sitting?
Here's the thing. I have so much faith in The Mandalorian. I have loved it every step of the way. I had no doubt that I was going to love this premiere, and it lived up to everything I wanted and more. I think it's one of the best episodes of Mandalorian altogether. I really, really like it. And here's the thing. We've gotten a lot of Star Wars content recently. We even got the Bad Batch right now. I think the Bad Batch is pretty boring. But we also got Book of Boba Fett. It didn't feel like Star Wars to me. It felt like something else. And then, Andor as well. Like Andor is really good, but it didn't feel like Star Wars to me either. The Mandalorian is my Star Wars. It feels like the original movies. Like it's just such a warm feeling that like it just fits so well in that universe. And I'm just so like, it brings me a type of joy that nothing else Star Wars related can. I think Mandalorian is top notch, and this season is going to be incredible.
I have no doubt this season's going to be so good. And you're right. Like, Andor was a little bit different. The Book of Boba Fett basically wins and losses depending on which episode you watched. Right. But if you draw back your memory, what was your first thought when you got told they're making a Disney Plus show about a Mandalorian character? When for so long we wanted, a Luke movie, there was a Luke movie idea, or there was an Obi-Wan movie, or an original idea for a Boba Fett movie. Like, did you think like you'd be so attached, the universe would be so in love with the character that when it first got announced, you're like, who the hell are you?
Yeah. So here's the thing. I had a couple thoughts when I first heard it was coming out. Number one, I was like, wow, so they decided they can't do a Boba Fett TV show, so they're just gonna make a copy of the same character. I was like, this is like, at first I was like, this is a little dumb, and then they end up coming out with the Boba Fett show anyways. With that being said, I did have a lot of faith in it. I remember this is an interesting story. So there's a podcast I listen to called Rob is a Podcast. They cover mostly reality TV, but they have a branch called Post Show Recaps where they talk about other TV shows. And they have a bunch of different hosts that come on there. And what I did when The Mandalorian was announced, I emailed this podcast and I was like, I explained my love for Star Wars. I explained why I was hopeful for The Mandalorian. And I said, I would love to come on and be a host on the podcast to talk about The Mandalorian. They never got back to me. So I started my own podcast after that. So The Mandalorian is kind of the reason I have a podcast now. And I had a lot of faith in it. Like at the time, it was the most expensive TV show ever made.
It was.
And it just firing on all cylinders. I thought it was great. So
you just remind me of like Bender and Futurama. Fine, I'll make my own show. Blackjack and women. Actually, stuff it. I'll just make my own show.
Exactly.
And look. And since then, man, you are right now on Apple Podcasts. You have 133 episodes.
Yeah, it's a lot, but it's a grind for sure.
I can completely contest to that. But I was the same. I was like, okay, this isn't Boba Fett, but why? Like, I'm not deep in the Star Wars lore, but I'm like, who are you? And then finding out, okay, so it's going to be a sequel to the original trilogy. It's not going to be tied to the sequel trilogy. Where is this going to be set? And boom, it's the best thing to ever come to Star Wars. And then the internet and the world blowing up for Grogu, Baby Yoda, which they kept hidden. Which I think I heard that Jon Favreau said that Disney was a little bit annoyed because they couldn't handle the supply of the toys because they kept it hidden.
And here's the thing. Without The Mandalorian and its success, I think the future of not only Star Wars, but Marvel is very grim. If you think about it, without The Mandalorian, I don't think, for better or for worse, we got a lot of Marvel shows on Disney Plus after that. We got a lot of Star Wars shows. I feel like we wouldn't have all this amazing content that we have now if it weren't for The Mandalorian.
No, it definitely changed a lot of things. And The Mandalorian was the first one that had that, I can't remember the set's name. The really special. That's it. And now because The Mandalorian, there's 3 of them.
Yeah.
And that's how they were able to shoot Book of Boba Fett and Obi-Wan at the same time. Hell, we got Obi-Wan because of Mandalorian.
Yeah, exactly. Ant-Man was shot on the volume most recently, actually. So
you can tell. I still love that comment. It's like James Cameron would have shot it in the quantum realm.
Yeah, he would have gone right down in his little submarine.
Exactly right. We still have shot it. But yeah, and I think the best if anyone who hasn't watched it, go watch the making of Obi-Wan Kenobi, and they do a fantastic version of showing you how incredible that volume set is and just how interchangeable it is. Because both of them, it was both Ewan McGregor and Hayden Christensen are staying in the middle, and they're actually watching clips from episode 3 and 2 all together when they were doing that flashback scene of the. I mean, it's just fantastic how huge it is.
Yeah, and what's really crazy is if you go back and look at the Revenge of the Sith, like the behind the scenes of Revenge of the Sith, the difference between the two is so incredible because you see those scenes of Hayden Christensen and Ewan McGregor standing in a green room. The entire world is completely fabricated, but with the volume,
green.
And that's a lot of people's complaints about like the green screen and the prequels and stuff. They say that like, well, nothing felt real because it wasn't real to the actors, and the volume gives the opportunity for it to be real for everybody. And I think that's what makes it so special.
And it really shows both Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni. You could tell how much love went into the show. And again, I think because the sequel, I think a big thing was because of the sequel trilogy and the prequels, for the good or the worst, people were really clamoring for that real touch again, like puppets, practical effects to all come back into it, which The Mandalorian did. And even that opening scene when he walks into that cafe and he was like, I can bring you in warm or I can bring you in cold. And then that pretty much sets the whole show, which brings us to episode 3 of The Mandalorian, which this very being, we get to see the blacksmith, we get to see the other Mandalorians, which for a split second, I always thought it was a flashback.
I did too. And we talked about it on the podcast. We all thought that. I think that's what they're trying to throw us off. So
yeah,
interesting.
I was like, oh, okay, a little bit of flashback, and then a giant MF croc comes out of nowhere.
The meth alligator comes out, and
the meth alligator comes to kill the Mandalorians. It's not villains that kill the Mandalorians off. It's a giant meth alligator. Or down here a giant croc. But did you like that? Yeah, at the very start that we got to sort of see so many other Mandalorians, because I think the last time we saw a lot of them was when they helped him. I think at season 2 they helped him get out of the town. I think that's the last time we saw a collective of Mandos.
Yeah, and I think the thing is, what's interesting is, I was wondering how they were going to handle the fact that a lot of the Mandalorian's last story was told in Book of Boba Fett, right? So if you're watching The Mandalorian and you watch from 2 to 3, you're going to completely not understand why Grogu and Mando are back together. And they don't explain that at all. But here's something else. The armor and all these Mandalorians, last time we saw the armor, it was just her and Paz, right? There were 2 people. They were in Book of Boba Fett. Their clan was gone. And now she has a full clan again. And this is one of my favorite complaints. I'm like, where did this come from?
That's it. That's what I thought. Because I thought that's sort of like, weren't you on some space station and it was you and one other guy who got beaten by Mando? Yeah. Like, how'd you get here? And where did all these people come from? Where did you find this child?
And I think that's the thing about the armor, and I have a lot of takes about it, but we see, and this is the same thing that happened to Mando, right? This particular cult of Mandalorians like to recruit people, right? They like to take young children, bring them in, and make them Mandalorians. It makes me wonder if all the people that are there are truly Mandalorians or just her followers with the same armor, right? So with that being said, I got to ask you, Lee, the armor, I hate this character. I don't trust her. I think she's evil. I think her cult is ridiculous. I think Mando's dumb for following her. I think something interesting is going to happen here, but I want to get your takes. What do you think about that?
The blacksmith lady.
Yes.
She has been like a little bit not really bad, but not really good the whole time. She's kind of like been a dick to him a bit ever since she first appeared. I'm probably my biggest thing is I'm surprised that she's still alive. for this entire time, and she's still same actor too. But I feel, I don't know, maybe she feels a bit like the fact that he took his mask off. Took his helmet off. She really wants to get rid of him. I'm like, because I'm surely there's another way that you can fix your transgressions instead of going to a completely burnt out planet that there's going to be no water on.
It's stupid.
Go on.
It's stupid.
Yeah, you have to bathe in the waters. Isn't it a desert? I don't make the rules.
Yeah. And that's the thing. It's like that particular method that she has of making everyone keep the helmets on. That's not a Mandalorian thing. You know, if you've watched Bad Batch or Rebels, you kind of get a lot of the story and backstory of Mandalore and the culture. That's not a thing. That's her thing. It's like a kind of a made up rule. And it kind of reminds me of like, I don't want to insult anybody, but some religions sometimes can take things out of context and apply their own meaning to things. And that's kind of what I get here. So it seems toxic to me.
She's an extremist. She's an extremist for what she's trying to do. And I agree. I feel like it's a bit much. You can't take your helmet off, which the funny thing is actually in the entire series, he does take his helmet off 3 times. The first time we don't see his face because he was in that little camp with everybody, and then the other 2 times. But he's going to go on this giant journey just to, like, this is why I'm really interested to know where this season's going to end, because Jon Favreau has said that season 4 has been written. It is ready to go. But I'm like, you're going to do all this, and then you're going to get rid of, you're probably going to find the waters, you're going to be bathed, but what happens to you next? Like, what are you going to do next? Like, are you going to lead everybody with the saber? That's the only thing, which we didn't see the saber for the entire episode.
Yeah, kind of interesting. I feel like there was a couple places where when like the pirates come in, it would have been cool to see it then. But yeah,
that would be cool. Did you love that? Did you love the hero entrance that he did? And did you like hearing the Mandalorian theme? I smiled when I heard that when he rocked up his ship to go help them kill the alligator. I was like, yeah, that's a hero moment right there. Yeah. You hear the theme, he comes in. But
you get
you're right,
or whatever it does.
Yeah.
There's a couple points in the episode where they take the music and kind of remix a little bit, like in the space battle later. It is the Mando theme, but it's kind of remixed a little bit. It was so smooth. I loved it.
That was for an opening episode. There was a lot of action in this episode for a season premiere, because you had the croc. Oh, sorry, you had the alligator, and then he comes back to go see. Oh, I forgot his name.
Grief.
Which the entire village, that whole planet, has completely changed from the first season. Like it's almost a metro city.
Yeah. I wish I could live there. It looks so fun.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Oh, pirates rocking up at the school. Yeah, that's a normal day here. But I just can't believe the time difference. When he said it's a lot has changed, I'm like, even I thought this was a rundown town. What? Wow, a lot has changed. I did like they did mention what happened to Dune. I do how they did mention they didn't just sweep that under the rug.
And I thought they would. I didn't think they would ever talk about it again, honestly. So it's nice to hear something, I guess.
Yeah, which it completely fits in because that's when she got the badge right at the end of season 2, and they asked her to join her.
Yeah.
So that already fits in. So that's fine. I was not expecting them to draw back on IG-11.
Yeah, that was really weird. It was so weird that I liked it, kind of. Because my thing is, if you guys had the tools to fix him the whole time, why was he just sitting up in the town center? It's like all Mando had to do is ask a couple questions. He's like, well, I guess we can make it work. I was just like,
Yeah. Oh yeah, I guess we could try.
Yeah. It's like y'all haven't even thought about any of this stuff.
No. But it was good to see, obviously, seeing Carl Weathers back as being the titular character and his nice new fancy robes and the robots following him to hold his cape when he comes down the stairs.
Yeah.
But you're right. Probably the only thing I'm really curious about is that seeing IGN 11 is having Taika Waititi back.
Yeah.
I was like, okay, if you come back, then I'm happy seeing Taika Waititi because he probably could really use the work after Thor 4. But it doesn't surprise me that he went straight to his old programming and tried to kill Grogu. I'm like, this feels so Terminator-ish.
Yeah. That's we had a theory on our podcast that when Mando comes back to Navarro, IG-11 has gonna have taken over and it's gonna be like a rundown city again, and he's like taking Grief's spot as like the high magistrate.
Yeah. That would be cool.
So.
But I did see someone mention it's like, is it when he uses the statue to break him. I did see someone mention it's like, Marvel humor.
Yeah.
Oh, that's using your head. I'm like, no, like go watch the Star Wars films. There's other humor like that. Like episode 1 is like, the negotiations were really short. I'm like, you can't just turn around and go, Marvel humor. Humor.
Yeah, there's a very similar joke in Rogue One that Darth Vader did that a lot of people didn't like either. When he was choking the guy, and he said, "Don't choke on your aspirations, director." Which I actually love that line, but whatever.
Yeah. No, I didn't think that was bad. I didn't even think that was a bad line. I was like, all right, that suits, that suits the whole thing. But yeah, I remember people tweeting, "Oh, that's so bad." I'm like, you're just complaining for the sake of complaining.
Yeah. Exactly.
What did you think of the space battle? Did you? I thought that was pretty cool. That definitely made me feel very original Star Wars feel.
Yeah, no, I loved it, and I love all the pirates that we get. Even the leader we see later, who's like he looks like he's Swamp Thing, and he's like
first thing I thought of. I was like, you look like Swamp Thing in space.
Yeah. So I think, what do you think, Lee? Are we going to see more of these guys? I think so, right? They're kind of setting up something here.
Yes, I'm like you're going to be just like I forgot his name, the guy from Andor. You get effed up in one episode, you're going to be coming back 3 or 4 episodes later, just because of the fact that you got beaten by a guy in one ship and a baby.
Yeah, exactly.
I have no doubt we will see those guys. I wasn't expecting him to go see Bo-Katan. I thought that was going to lead straight into, like, I saw that in the trailer and I thought that looks like something probably mid-season where he goes to, I need help for whatever this mission's going to be. I was not expecting him to go there first.
Yeah, it's interesting because, I have a feeling she's going to be a big part of the season and teaming up with Mando.
Has to be.
But also, I could see a situation where they are enemies because she seems to have a lot of resentment towards him about having the Darksaber, and I think they're going to come to blows at some point. I don't think it's going to be all peaceful between these two, and that's going to be something interesting to watch for.
100%. You could tell from that conversation that she was very like, you still got the saber? Yeah. Well, because you remember at the end of season 2, he's like, just take it. And she's like, no, like I can't do it. Obviously, her massive law, and with the black saber, for anyone who doesn't know, the black saber, you must win in combat to lead. You can't just be like, nah, there you go, you hang on to this, you can lead. But yeah, she had no other Mandalorians with her. I was expecting to see the other 2 that were in season 2. But she was all by herself with that robot droid, and they all went off to be mercenaries.
Mm-hmm.
They took the ship and everything,
so
she's by herself.
Yeah, and she's sitting on this throne. I'm like, are you just doing this all day long? Like, what do you do all day in this castle? You're just sitting on the throne waiting for anybody to show up?
Yeah. Like, Din Djarin's coming.
Yeah.
Let me just like sit up in this particular way and just show that I don't give a shit. But no, she's. I think she's going to come to blows. I feel like she's probably going to be more of a regular. She isn't going to just appear right at the end. I feel like she's going to keep popping around, especially when Din Djarin goes back to Mandalorian. Are you excited to see more of Mandalore after everything that's happened on that planet?
Yeah, it's gonna be interesting. I kind of like his plan of like getting a droid, sending him down there, making sure it's safe. I'm just wondering,
Blows
like,
up again.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just wondering how interesting the plan is going to be. Is it like now that it's just kind of burnt to a crisp? You know, like it doesn't sound like it's going to look particularly cool. It'd be cool if they find out that there are like the planet is safe and there's like enemies down there or something. I don't know. I feel like I'll be interested to see where they go with it, because as of right now, I'm like, okay, you're just going to get on the planet and take a bath. You know, like there's got to be more to it than that, right?
That is the plan. That right now, that is all the plan. Really, the plan. I'm going to have a droid and a baby with me when I bathe.
Yeah.
And because she says the whole planet's glassed, obviously from all the explosions, and it's the air's toxic.
Yeah. So that's their belief, and Mando doesn't believe it. So I think that's really interesting.
I think so too. Could be wrong, because obviously you're more the Star Wars lore than I am. So is there, because of all that, is people just been afraid to go back to Mandalore, or is it just that that's because that planet's destroyed or burnt out, I'm not even going to go near it? Or is it more of a religion thing, like that because our home religion's been destroyed, we can no longer return to our home?
Yeah, so it's interesting. I think the big issue is the fact that they keep saying they've mentioned it multiple times. Bo-Katan said it, the armorer said it. They say it's toxic, right? So they feel like they can't go back. But I think there's different motivations there. Number one, the armorer, I've already suspected that I don't really trust her. She's got weird rules. I don't think she wants to go to Mandalore. So I think that's how she kind of keeps control over her people, where like she tells them, well, you can't atone for your sins, so you better not mess up. I think it's kind of like a ploy for her to manipulate people. So I think different people have different motivations about talking about why they can't go back. But I think all in all, their biggest concern is that it's just toxic.
It's just a wasteland, which I did like. Was it Book of Boba Fett? They did show the flashback, or was it season 2? They got to show the flashback of what happened to Mandalore. I'm really glad that we did get that.
Yeah.
For everyone who doesn't know the full lore, which when you look at it, you go, yeah, nothing's going to live on that. Everything's dead. But it'll be very curious to see what Mando's going to see on it, like how much has grown or what's living on it. But surely this is not going to be a season 3 entirety. Like this, I could see this is like a midpoint that you go to, and then something bigger.
Yeah, it almost seemed like he was ready to go at the end of the episode, right? So it's hard to imagine how they could possibly stretch it out. I could see it like episode 3 even. You know, we might have a couple more issues along the way here, but like again, I think we're gonna see Mandalore very soon.
Well, gets the part. You go to the planet. That's really end of it. So, where would you like to see this season? So, obviously, season 2, we got the incredible final, which I don't know how they're going to live up to that, because that hit every single Star Wars fan in the heart. Where do you think this season 3 is going to go? Like, what's your prediction? Whatever your prediction you say right now, we'll come back when the Mandalorian season 3 ends, and we'll see how wrong we were or how right we were.
Yeah. I've kind of sprinkled some of my opinions throughout here, and I think the big thing is it's going to be a struggle with friends. And I think number one, Bo-Katan, I don't see this going 100% well between them. I think it's going to be a plot point. But more importantly, if I had to guess, if I just had to guess what the final episode is, I think he's finally going to turn on the armor and that cult. I don't think he's going to become Mandalorians with them, and he takes the helmet off. So that's my prediction. Because I just don't see a way that Mando just does everything she says and then he's sitting at her right hand side at the end of all this. It's not going to work like that. I think there's going to be a little civil war of Mandalorians here, and that's my prediction.
Well, it's funny you say that because Pedro Pascal did say, like, can you tell us anything about season 3? And he says, more Mandalorians. There will be more Mandalorians. So you could very much be right. It could be civil, the Mandalorian Civil War, season 3 up and all together. Because you're right, Bo-Katan could only get the saber if she kills Mando.
Mm-hmm.
And
so that's her character. She is not one to give it up. She's not going to be just knowing her from Clone Wars and Rebels. She's the kind of chick that grabs the bull by the horns, and she's going to get what she wants. So sooner or later, it's going to be a problem.
That's a nice saber. That's a real nice saber. I'm going to take that from you and your corpse.
Yeah.
All right. Well, how about this? Cameos. Who do you think major cameos? Because obviously we got some big ones in Boba Fett. We also got ones in Obi-Wan Kenobi. Who do you think's going to rock up? Do you think Ahsoka is going to come back?
I don't. If I had to guess, we're not going to get Ahsoka. It seems like Ahsoka pops up too much in these shows now, like being in Book of Boba Fett and everything. I think we can hold now that we have some Ahsoka coming. I've got an interesting one, though, because there is this subplot with the pirates. And there's one big pirate. If you watch the animated shows, you know who this is. It's Hondo Ohnaka. He is a big pirate in the Star Wars universe. He's like the pirate. He's in a lot of the animated shows, as well as the Millennium Falcon ride at Disney World is basically based on his character. He's like the guy giving you the missions and everything. So he is an important part of the Star Wars universe. He is a pirate. I know we're going to get more of the pirates. So if I had to guess, we're getting Hondo.
I could see that happening 100%. Because they all say they're all pirates. So they want, all the pirates show around like, yeah, there's going to be something. I really can't think of, because of where the timeline sits, because we've had Luke, we've had Ahsoka. I'm like, I can't really think of someone who might pop up. Like even Lando would be too far of a stretch. They're not, obviously we're not going to have Princess Leia or Han. So it's just, I don't know who else could really pop up. Like, it would have to be someone from the Clone Wars series and that universe to pop up again. Because I don't think anyone's really clamoring to see Luke again. I think Luke's done. I think that's set.
Yeah. If I had to give, I'll give one more cameo that I think from Star Wars Rebels. This is somebody who's already been casted for the Ahsoka show, so we know there's a live action actor. Sabine, who's a Mandalorian. Yes. I think it would make a lot of sense for her to come into this. So instead of the Ahsoka cameo, I think if they want to tie this into Ahsoka, that would be a good way to do it.
Yeah, I could see that happening as well, which I'm so excited for the Ahsoka TV show. Purely the fact that the rumor is you will be seeing flashbacks in the Clone Wars with Hayden Christensen back and then fighting that's going to be fantastic. But season 3 of The Mandalorian, episode 1, an outstanding start to the show. I think it was an 8 on IGN. It's a 9 here from both of us. There's nothing left on the table. I thought I was like, that's a bit iffy. Like, that's made me excited. I don't want to know where they're going. And especially the time jump from the book of season 2 and season 3. And right now, for anyone who's doing recaps like ourselves, the almost 2 hottest shows right now are both Pedro Pascal.
Yep. And it's the Pedro Pascal-assance. So I'm here for it.
I'm all in. Got any final comments about The Mandalorian?
I just want to say one of my favorite things about this episode is, because sometimes I turn on the episode and I realize how short it is and I kind of get disappointed. But like you mentioned, they had no issue. There was so much going on in this episode. They accomplished so much. It has a little bit of everything for everybody. You get action, you get story progression, you get IG-11, you get Bo-Katan, you get Grief, you get new pirates, you get cute baby Grogu stuff. Like, it's just it accomplished so much, and like I think it's truly impressive the amount of stuff they're able to do in one episode.
Yeah, couldn't agree with you more. And the funny thing is, you actually mentioned that this is actually the shortest premiere for a Disney Plus show. Everything you've just mentioned, and of all, even besides Star Wars and Marvel, every other Disney Plus show, this is the shortest show, which I think it only went for like 37 minutes.
Yeah, and like the credits are like 8 minutes. So
yeah, which I will have to say, one of the biggest things I do love about the show is that they do incorporate after in the credits, which I recommend anyone to watch the credits, is that all the concept art.
Yeah,
they keep that in, and you show how much like this is what was first on the drawing board into what we got. I think that's a fantastic thing that you get to see. No, there's not many shows will do that, but you look and go, wow, they were like 80% right to what the show was going to be, or like 60%, and then you get something like the fight with the alligator at the stadium, like wow, that couldn't be more closer. But besides Mandalorian, Michael, what else are you watching at the moment, or what else are you excited for coming out around the corner? Like, are you excited for Shazam: Fury of the Gods, or are you really excited for Super Mario Bros?
I don't know that either of those are on the top of my list. There's a lot of TV shows coming out this year that I'm excited for. Yellow Jackets is coming back. Really excited for that. I don't know if you watched that. It's a good one. John Wick's coming up soon. Can't wait for John Wick.
Yes.
It's
so pumped for John Wick.
It's a good time to be a nerd. Some other things. I'm a big reality TV fan. I won't waste your time too much with it, but I'm watching Survivor these days. That premiered this week. And also in your neck of the woods, I watch Australian Survivor, which actually that's the best version of Survivor. I think it's better than the US version.
So that's every day for us.
Yeah. Yeah. So it's a good time to be a reality fan too.
For anyone, content could not be higher for any platform that you're in for right now. With this 8 or 9 streaming platforms that are out there, you can find something. Quick question: do you think John Wick will finally have the curtain call with John Wick 4? Do you think he'll finally cark it in this film?
No, there's no way. He's too good. He's too good, and he makes them too much money too. Like, you don't get rid of Keanu Reeves, so no, he's gonna get his ass handed to him a little bit. But we know how this goes. John Wick is the winner always.
With like that, that's how he's gonna. Yeah. If everyone who's originally just watching, don't forget that John Wick is missing half a finger because of the last movie.
And he'll punch somebody with that half of a finger, and it'll be fine.
He will, and he'll still win the fight somehow. Are you interested in the spin-off show? The 2 spin-off shows that are in the works?
I'll watch them and I'll give them a chance, but so honestly, if I'm being real here, I don't care too much about the John Wick lore. The Continental and the coins, and like that's not the kind of stuff that I go to John Wick for. It's the action, it's Keanu Reeves, and basically you're kind of telling me that like, okay, here's a show without some of your favorite parts of the franchise. I don't know. We'll see. I hope it's good. I hope I'm wrong. Maybe Keanu Reeves can make a cameo at least. We'll see.
He's meant to he mentioned apparently he's meant to in the ballerina one.
Okay, that's
he'll be making he's meant to make a cameo in there, but I think the Continental show, I think that's a prequel.
Okay.
To it all, but apparently I think the guy, the hotel guy, I think he's going to be in it. Okay. But yeah, John Wick will be in the ballerina. Which the ballerina one, when I saw that guy announced, I thought, yeah, I guess. The Continental kind of makes more sense than this. But one of my favorite lines from the John Wick 3 is, all this for a puppy? Like, you're goddamn right for a puppy.
Yeah, exactly. I've actually got my John Wick pop right here, and it's got the
you can see it. For anyone who's watching, Junior John Wick pop.
Yeah, because of a little dog. It's a lot of fun. No, I'm and here's the thing, kind of like I was saying with the Mandalorian, I had some skepticism coming into it, right? I'm like, what is this? It's kind of like a Boba Fett ripoff, whatever. So I hope I've been wrong about this stuff before. So I hope it just blows me away. I hope the action's just as good and there's even better characters. So
yeah, well, I don't know, Donnie Yu. Do you know of his previous work?
I don't know the name, but I probably know the face.
He was actually in Rogue One. He's the blind guy. He's going to be facing John Wick in John Wick 4.
Okay, yeah, I like him. I like him.
I still love that line. Like, why are you bagging me? I'm blind.
yeah.
He's a martial artist and one of the most. They're called IP Man.
Okay, yeah, I've heard of it.
Yeah, essentially like Bruce Lee and Jackie Chan on steroids. Like some of the hand-to-hand combat and that is insane. So as soon as I saw that he was going to be in this, I thought, this is going to be intense.
It's a good choice.
Which, I don't think anyone who watched the first John Wick could say this would last 4 movies. Like, how have you not been shot? How has no one got you after all this? But no, I have to say, look, Michael, thank you so much for coming on this episode. I really appreciate you being on here. And for everyone who's listening in who doesn't know about them, you need to jump on the Star Wars podcast. They recap Marvel, Star Wars. They do it better than anybody else. Live episodes every week. They do it fantastically. Jump on their merch, and you're completely a wealth of knowledge. Like sometimes you say things I'm like, fuck. Who would know that?
And here's the thing. I've wasted so much of my life being such a nerd, and like finally I get a little respect for it. So worth it. No, Lee, it's such a blast being here with you. The worst part about doing this podcast with you is I'm not going to be able to listen to it as a fan as I do every single week. I think your content's incredible, whether you have awesome guests or you're doing it solo. You're such a hustler. I have so much respect for you. And literally anytime you want me here, I will do it. I will drop it a hat. I'll cancel my own podcast to come on. not really. Maybe we'll see. But
no. And the
I got your
Mandalorian. And the Mandalorian. It'd be great to have you back and look back on this and go, we were so wrong.
Yeah. Listen, if I was right all the time, it would be really boring. So I like when I'm wrong.
No, of course. Well, guys, thank you very much for tuning in with this episode. And until next time, happy ranting.
See ya.
Thanks for listening to Lights, Camera, Rant. If you like the show, don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss a single episode. While you're at it, leave us a rating and review, and be sure to tell your friends. Until next time, happy ranting.